Agreed.
So the internet is clowning on Marvel right now, which we love. We are not DC fanboys, as Brett is called often, but Marvel is getting cyberbullied for putting in submissions for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Wakanda Forever, and Thor Love and Thunder for the following: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor and Actress. They've also got Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Costume Design, many other considerations right now that they've just made public. And the internet is roasting them for it because Thor Love and Thunder is the most laughably embarrassing release they've had this year, especially when you compare it to Wakanda Forever. Most of the replies are saying Wakanda Forever is the only movie they've put out this year even close to worthy of consideration for an Oscar.
Well, the first question then we should ask is what the hell qualifies something for an Oscar anyways, other than to be pretentious?
I mean, my question is, why do we care about getting Oscars anyway?
Yes, what? I mean,
anymore. Like, what does an Oscar mean? And why would a Marvel film even want that kind of recognition?
I'm in my Oscar era. Is that what Leo said when he won his Oscar for The Revenant?
So
like, I'm in my Oscar.
It was weirdly
era.
Anticlimactic when Leo did get his Oscar.
Yeah, for the Bear movie.
They forced it. They're like, we have to give it to him eventually, otherwise he'll never shut up about this.
Yeah.
Every year. So submitting for visual effects for Love and Thunder is bad. Submitting for Best Picture is beyond parody.
No Marvel film has ever won Best Picture. The only Marvel film that, to my knowledge, has gotten any Oscars has been the original Black Panther. Yeah. They got it for production design, costume design, and score.
They also they did get a Golden Globe nomination for Wakanda Forever for Angela Bassett.
Yeah, a lot of people said that supporting actress for Angela Bassett is the only nomination here that would make sense.
What would be the so when I think about this story, I think of like what would be the significance of actually having these movies for the Best Picture awards, because historically, at least for me, my perception is the Oscars, at least back in like the early 2000s or 90s when I used to give a damn about them, was pictures you probably missed.
Yeah, that you didn't see.
But are pretty good.
But here's the thing. Then for a long time, people would say, well, they don't ever nominate these movies because there's a bias against them because they're superhero films. Now, that was said in conjunction with things like The Dark Knight or movies that people felt were actually Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
If anything, the tide has turned on that because there is a bias toward anything that's a Disney property.
Yeah.
I don't want a popcorn flick there. I don't know if that's the snooty side of me, but the turn your brain off and just be entertained movie doesn't feel Oscar worthy to the I guess the standards that I'm putting it. But
did you watch Thor Love and Thunder?
Yeah, I saw it with you.
You did?
Yeah, we all went.
Oh, there were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Brett didn't see it, which surprised me. I just remembered that.
Yeah, I had something going on that day.
If you had, I think that you would be even more flabbergasted that they would think this is Oscar worthy because the VFX were terrible.
Well, they also
the score terrible.
They've also nominated it for Best Director, and everyone understood that this was even Chris Hemsworth said that this was ridiculous on the part of Taika Waititi because they kind of ruined the character and it became way too jokey in parts that don't. I mean, Marvel is always too jokey in parts that don't need jokes.
The tone of Thor Love and Thunder was all over the place because they're dealing with this storyline of a character that's dying of cancer, but at the same time, it's like screaming goats. You don't know if it's supposed to be for kids or adults because they're using bad language and showing nudity.
Well, it's all supposed to be. It's all for adults now because
the pleasures of being a single father.
It's all for extended adolescence, basically. Yep. The tone was schizophrenic, to say the least.
It really was everywhere.
Also, I want to point out that now it's almost a rule across the board that Marvel effects are bad. It's funny too because I was watching Infinity War not that long ago. I actually rewatched Infinity War because there was something that I wanted to see, and it's true that like when you watch Infinity War and Justice League were coming out around the same time. The trailers were coming out at the same time, and you looked at the graphic, the way they designed not Ares, the way they designed the character
Zeus?
in no
Infinity War.
No, I'm talking about DC in Justice League. The way they designed the special effects in that movie were so cartoonish compared to the way Thanos looked in Infinity War. When he first lands and you see him actually breathe air, you can actually see his nostrils move, and there's a lot of attention to detail to that character that made Thanos feel real in that movie, and all of that, at least maybe I'm just imagining it, seems to be gone now. It all feels way more lifeless. That might be like a psychosomatic reaction on my own part because I was actually still kind of halfway invested in the properties at the time.
Well, a lot of people reacting to this Oscar bid were saying if Endgame and Infinity War weren't considered Oscar-worthy enough to get submitted for Best Picture, why would you think Thor: Love and Thunder would get it?
Well, yeah.
And then you have to wonder, is Marvel just trolling the Academy Awards? That would be too cool to be true. And then it would be the only funny joke that Marvel has ever made.
I think it's what Brett said. Like you don't lose anything by submitting them.
Yeah. Also, maybe what it is, maybe they didn't submit Wakanda Forever for the VFX for the whole team. Maybe it's just for the guy who animated his junk. The characters.
It's only for the guy who minimized Namor's bulge.
Like that guy's going to win the award by himself. And he will win the Oscar.
I'd support that decision.
And then also I couldn't think of what they meant by best costumes because it all felt. And also that the funny thing is aside from that joke that I just made, the special effects in Wakanda Forever also felt unbelievably uninspired. The entire final battle felt completely on a soundstage.
A lot of people said that was the only highlight of it. I think that Christian Bale might deserve supporting actor for that.
A lot of people would agree with that, yeah.
But he was also the singular saving grace of Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah. There was nothing else redeemable about it, in my opinion. It was somehow like insanely overwhelming visually, but at the same time bored me to death.
Soulless and empty.
Yeah, it's soulless and empty. And then I see people still defending it in the replies. They're defending Disney, a corporation that doesn't give a shit about you or giving you entertainment that is worth anything.
And that's why I pushed back on the whole give Black Adam a 90 thing rating.
That's an audience score, not a...
I understand.
The idea that the audience needs to like battle with the critic score, even if it doesn't reflect their true opinion.
Because,
I mean... anyways. Like, they shouldn't do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a high 70... Sure.
Yeah, but what you're saying is that they did that. I'm saying that people are so beat down by the political messaging of the era that they're rating it higher than it probably would be objectively because they aren't looking at it as objective viewers because they're not. People aren't objective.
I understand, but like what I'm saying is that now the executive that did that movie is like, see, it's got a 90. It's pretty much The Godfather.
Nobody actually uses that as a metric anymore, I don't think.
Well, Fans do. I don't think that DC will going forward.
Internally, they might.
Yeah, special jump scare warning if you're watching
special
right
effects
now.
Of the year for...
This was an actual frame shown in Thor: Love and Thunder, and it's nominated for Best VFX.
This is my favorite because it just says Best Visual Effects.
Like... It's just so blatantly impossible. Like if they got nominated for any of these except for Christian Bale, I'd be shocked.
In the chat, they're like, "What the hell?"
That's how you know that it would be rigged. That Disney paid off the Academy.
Somebody says, "I agree that the visual effects wasn't that good, but what's the problem with this one? I don't understand." Seriously.
Also, that looks like Disa. If Disa were a 12-year-old boy.
Yes.
Disa from Rings of Power.
Yeah, that would have been a great segue if we were there, but we're not there. That's so, yeah. They're basically saying the audacity of them to do this for this to have PlayStation 2 graphics.
Someone said, if you think this movie deserves Best Picture, you are genuinely a lesser human being. Another person said... Always be your own biggest fan because delusion will take you further than anything in this world.
Look, if they can submit this for consideration to the Oscars, you can ask the pretty girl at your workout. You can apply for the promote. What they say? You can apply for the promotion.
You can apply to Harvard with a 1.5 GPA. You can do it.
Do it. Like if Marvel is willing to do that, we should all attack all things in life with the confidence that Marvel has to pretend to have while submitting these movies for Oscar consideration.
Another person said that the Academy should make a Best Children's Film category and put all Marvel, DC, and animated movies in it.
That's legitimately a good piece of advice.
And another person said Disney has clearly fallen out of the insanity tree and hit every branch on the way to the bottom.
What if they made a Best Adult Children's award?
Dude, if this won Best Picture, it would really be the biggest sign of the times.
Best Adult Baby.
Yeah, that's fantastic. They should do that.
That's unironically how it felt when I'm watching them ride on rainbows into the sunset on a carriage of screaming goats.
They just don't know what to be.
Also, showing Thor's Thor ass. His Thor ass.
The thing is, I think after Infinity Wars, they were patting themselves in the back. It's hey guys, we did it. That was a historic...
So let's take the production quality way.
No, but they where do you go
after that?
Where do you go? That this is the arc that all the nerds talked about constantly. If you had a comic book friend, they would talk to you about Thanos, and they would actually the hell out of him. And it's where do you go from this guy?
Do you guys think any Marvel
She-Hulk
film that comes to mind is deserving of an Academy Award?
Maybe, but I don't know.
Some people said Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Some people said Civil War. Others said Endgame. Others mentioned Infinity War. I disagree wholeheartedly.
Definitely not the Thor one.
I
feel almost on principle, no, but I also don't respect the Academy as an institution either. I don't think they have taste. I don't think that they
Banshees of
should be
Inisherin.
the people who set the standard for film at this point.
I do want to see Banshees of Inisherin, but when am I going to get around to going to see that? I'm just not.
I watched the trailer and I gotta admit it was very confusing.
When it comes out on movies like that are always hard to market to be it's basically marketed as being pretentious, and that's fine. I like Colin Farrell.
Is that in theaters yet?
I think it's already out of theaters. I think it was a limited release.
Really?
If it didn't, then it's close to being out. So that's one I wouldn't mind seeing, but it's also, we're at a thing now, maybe we're at that point, we watch so many, we've been to so many movies lately that maybe something a little bit different. I had more fun at Violent Night than any of the big budget movies that we've gone to see this year.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of frustrated with Disney's business model, which is throw gobs of money into the budget of a sequel film, and also flood Disney Plus with streaming shows and destroy all of these existing IPs that they've acquired, and then that'll be stonks. It's so low IQ for a company of Disney's caliber to operate this way. It just shows that they don't put any thought into the way they do business.
My general take is that, by the way, can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you.
My general take is that fiction
Thank you. That was
shouldn't be
violent.
nominated for best film.
What?
Unless it really generates this feeling of wow, I've never thought of that. Whereas because all the comic book ones are just renditions, and no one's really giving a out of body next level performance, kind of how Heath Ledger got associated with the Joker. And that's when something that was fiction that was still marred in reality, it seemed deserving of.
They should have a best use of steroids category for
Oh
all
my
the,
God.
the men who have to pretend like they got that. And then Liver King can present the award every year.
It's just The Rock crushing every year.
Every year.
I did
well,
it.
no, The Rock can't submit because he won't admit to using them. But
that should be one of the Razzies, though. Best roid physique. Unironically, that would work.
And that's what they should do. They should now when they win for best, if Thor: Love and Thunder. Now I can't say Thor without thinking Soar. Thor.
What was it like seeing your Thor ass on screen for the first time?
You got to have that guy on the show.
We really need to get him on.
But if they win the Razzie, they should do what Jada Pinkett Smith did and go and accept it in person, like she did for Catwoman.
Oh yeah, that shows like being able.
No, I'm sorry, Halle Berry.
Halle
Berry,
Berry.
not Jada Pinkett Smith.
Oh yeah, duh.
Really big.
Wait, now that I think about it, if that had been Jada Pinkett Smith, she would have never ever done that.
No, she doesn't have a sense of humor.
She has an extremely fragile ego.
No, she would have made Will Smith go and accept it in person.
and then slap whoever nominated her.
Then Chris Rock has to present the award to her, and it becomes a whole thing.
I think for me personally, Will Smith's Fall for Grace has been like the most jarring one.
He'll be fine. He's gonna.
Really?
He will be fine. He's making his movie right now. All he needs is one more blockbuster movie. Does anybody really care that Chris Rock got slapped?
Honestly, no.
Seriously.
Not
anyone saying they do is
they
lying.
care.
They're lying.
Not particularly.
Also, by the way, my guess is that Avatar will win Best Visual Effects.
They have been
for this year
put for consideration as well. They likely will get it.
That seems to be the one takeaway from everyone. Like, I hear
if
some people.
If that's where they're concentrating all of their efforts and thought, then yeah, maybe they deserve it.
Built entirely new cameras, took 13 years. Remember,
if they did that at expense of writing an actual story, then fine.
Is it already out?
Like, it comes out on Friday. We're going to see it Thursday night.
Yes, we're reviewing it on Friday.
Yes. So it's one of those things where it's like, for them, I hear people shilling for the story too, but that always feels like they're just like,
it's cope.
People didn't like the last story, so now we got to pretend like this movie's got a great story. And maybe it does. But I think that the best way forward for visual effects this year is probably going to be Avatar will end up winning. So we will see.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. If they poured all of their resources into just making it visually appealing, it better be.
Is it going to be 3D?
No, I don't think so.
I also saw that they were saying that the budget on this one was like $600 million, not $250 million.
Wow.
So no way.
So maybe that's
so he really meant that
$2 billion.
It needs to make $2 billion to break even.
So I can't wait.
That's insane.
Like, imagine, like,
that's
he's
insane.
Like, if they're like, he made $500 million this weekend. Well, it's like, well, I'll cut that in half because we only keep 60 to 40. Only 1.75 billion to go until we actually make profitability.
He's expecting at least 1 billion people to see it twice.
Yeah.
Imagine that level of trust.
I didn't even think of it. Well,
it's not even trust. It's just like he seems to not care whether or not it's a good movie.
Yeah. Well, it's ego.
Yeah.
It's a lot of ego.
And I hope that reality calls his bluff, although we are seeing it opening night. So
somebody said in the chat, somebody said over under on whether Brett uses the word hubris in the segment. So I'm deflecting that by using the word, but using it in the context of the chat. So
do you use the word hubris that much?
It would
I
have
didn't
been
notice.
Not that much, but like on occasion.
It is unfortunately Marvel submitting for these awards I don't think it's hubris. I think it's delusion.
The thing is, what I see here is that all institutions and all previously respected and loved franchises have been gutted of their heart. So the institution that doles out these accolades, I don't respect them, and I don't respect Disney, which has come to take the soul out of this comic book franchise, which previously was special to some people.
Well, to be fair, Thor has never been exactly the most well-loved. He is a well-loved character. The Thor movies are not well-loved.
No, they're not, but they're supposed to be part of this intertwined universe that all of the fans can appreciate.
Yeah.
I mean, also, in my lifetime, the Avengers were always just like a C-League Justice League.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's how...
Oops.
It had more... There was more name recognition there. Also, I'd like to point out, I don't think it's that they've broken the heart of these institutions. I think that the general societal trust in institutions has deflated so far that, along with not trusting the government, not trusting your school system, you don't trust the Academy Awards, and you don't trust any of these organizations that are supposed to be the tastemakers that are on the box with the pretty colors in your living room telling you how to live your life. So I think there's just a general fall from grace for the idea of the collective institution in America, and unfortunately film goes with that. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.